Chapter 21, Back to Belle Isle. The next day we moved out of the flat and away from Harrogate and back to Leeds and the bungalow, one day too late for Faye. Moving back to Belle Isle and the bungalow was hellish. The place was badly underdeveloped and it wasn't long before creditors had sniffed me out and unannounced knocks and court demands began to bang and drop through the door. But Jack and the 2 dogs were still intact, and within a few months, I began to be thankful that fate had played a hand in preventing the sale of the property, and I still had a home. I mentioned Brian earlier in the tale and of how he had been a good friend of my dad, Anna, Bennie, and me. Since I'd moved away from Leeds, I'd lost touch with him, but now I was back in Leeds I decided to go and visit my old friend. I'd known Brian for nearly 40 years. Knocking on the door of his rundown council house, I noticed a care worker busying around through the window. I knocked on the window to get her attention. "Yes, can I help?" she asked, opening the door. "I've called to see Brian. I'm a friend of his and was just passing." The care worker was convinced I was genuine, and she stood aside to allow me to enter. Brian was stooped over in one of those pensioner chairs with wings on the side. He looked very frail and was sipping some soup. He was now in his late 70s. "Hiya, Brian. How ye doing? Who are you?" he shouted as he caught sight of me. "It's me, Brian, Karl." "Who's he?" he continued, looking at the care worker. The care worker gestured with her finger towards her head and twirled it, without Brian seeing, of course. "He had a fall yesterday, didn't you, Brian?" Brian continued to sip his soup, and the care worker took the opportunity to inform me that Brian had severe dementia. I noticed a picture of Anna and me on the windowsill, a lovely one Rachel, my daughter, had given Brian. I stood up and pointed to the picture. "Look, Brian, it's me, Anna's husband." "Oh, it's you. How's Anna?" "Anna and he were the best of friends. Don't you and Bennie go losing her money now?" We talked with difficulty for the next 10 minutes or so, and I made my excuses and left. I took one last look at Brian, a friend of 4 decades, who'd now forgotten me, and there, in his place, was an old man, now empty of memory, sat vacantly sipping soup with a bored nurse standing by.